It is May 16th, 2024, and it is 6:30, so I'm calling this meeting to order. I will do roll call first, and Mayor Pro Tem Villalobos.
Here.
Matthew McGovern.
Here.
Nick Styler is absent so far. Mike McLeod
Here.
and Sam Clinton Houston. Sam Houston Clinton.
Now you're close.
And if you would please rise for the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And then please remain standing for the invocation. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, Lord God, we do thank you for the rain. Heavenly Father, we've needed it so badly. And even with the flooding, we just praise you, Heavenly Father, because we do need all this water. Lord God, we just thank you for this little city, and we thank you for protecting us in the recent tornado, and that all that seemed to be the problem was downed trees. Lord God, we do pray for those who did suffer more loss in San Marcos and the surrounding areas. And Lord God, we just thank you for the gift of salvation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and do reports.
Public comment? Public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comments? Did anybody fill one out? Okay. Go ahead and do reports. I wanted to make a comment about the storm. Last week, the first week in May, I always go to Montana. And so I was out of town. And the storm happened Thursday, I think. Thursday. And Adrian really stepped up to take my place and Jared's place and really did double duty there. He was set to go to Brownsville for Mother's Day in Mexico. I guess they have two Mother's Days, one on Friday and then one on Sunday. And so he didn't leave until midnight on Saturday night. And I just want y'all to know how much he did for the city. And so now he's going to do a little presentation about what happened last week. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So we're going to go over about when we were first notified about the storm. We're going to go over about what happened after the storm, what actions we took, what the results of those actions were, and what now, the conclusion of the event. And we saw the end of it today. So as far as the notice, we received a alert from the National Weather Service at 7:30 p.m. about a severe thunderstorm with hail, and then at 7:45 or 8 p.m. we received a notice of high winds coming towards the central Texas area. So I'm sure everybody in this room probably experienced it if you're local from Martindale and the central Texas area. The most severe damage we saw was by the Catholic Church. The storage unit across the street from Lockhart experienced some pretty significant damage and was one of the more notable damages in the county, according to the county's emergency management officer, Hector Rangel. And so at this is about 12 p.m., 12 a.m., on Friday night, the chief of police was blocking the road and making sure that nobody blindly drove into traffic or into the damage. We lost power about, I want to say 8:30 p.m. and we didn't regain power until 8 a.m. the next day, and we were down on our network connectivity and broadband. So I want to kind of first show some form of appreciation to the neighbors who came out that evening and that morning after the event. Well, let me first mention the road blockages. So as a result of the storm, Lockhart Street was blocked. That's where the church is. We had Quail Run blocked by another tree. And right by, in the middle of Northwest River Road, we had another tree fall down and collapse. And so 3 points of access to the center of the town was obstructed. This was cleared out at midnight, about 1 a.m. in Lockhart Street. Northwest River Road wasn't cleared out until previous mayor Davini had pulled out that tree and chopped it up with some other neighbors who helped clean the area. And Quail Run was not, the tree wasn't moved aside until Saturday, May 11th. For the remedies that were taken by the community and the city, and the private utility companies were going out there, chopping up logs, moving those trees out of the way. So as a result, what the city did, we made a emergency declaration at May 10th, the day after the storm. Why we did this, it's not something we look to actively pursue, but it was out of necessity to pursue a contract to remove all the debris and from the streets and the right of way and drainage ditches. By declaring an emergency in the community, we were able to exceed the spend limit of $3,000. So at the next council meeting, we'll have a summary report of all the expenses we made in efforts to maintain public safety and care of city property and those kinds of facilities. You'll find that language in section 5, the emergency purchases in the financial policy and procedure handbook, if anybody wants to look at it. So the scope of work we set out was pretty detailed as to what the target was. The target of the debris cleanup was anything from 5 feet long, 5 inches wide or thick, from a tree branch limb, and organic debris is what we're calling it, was the focus. We were not cleaning up any kind of excess debris. If people's garbage cans flipped over and it was all over the street, our main focus was to collect organic debris, coordinate with the county to remove it at the county site. But we were not removing any kind of fences, construction material, rubble, privately owned trees, automotive debris, household trash and waste, or mechanical equipment. This was all done on May 11th. So May 11th at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., we had a group called AMA Hauling come through the city and clean all the city streets as best as they can and remove any kind of large items out of the roadway. They finished their job at 5. What we did with the remaining debris was we packed it up at phases 2 and 3 until we heard back from the county if we can use their gravel pit. The gravel pit has strict TCEQ regulations as to what could be dumped on there. I suspect that the county inspected our phase 2 and 3 and found that there's some kind of material in there that probably would violate their TCEQ permits. So the result that the action we decided to take at the end to get rid of all that extra debris was to burn it, which we did today. It appears that most of all that debris is clear today.
Oh, and can I mention Sean McDonald came out
That's right. So
in the middle of the night to,
Pictures of.
So Sean McDonald's actually found in this picture here. He came out at 1 a.m. to help clean up Lockhart Street. He's pretty much the one responsible for clearing the damages from that roof out of the roadway and any other kind of trees that might have fallen over, including parts of telephone poles and etc. As a conclusion to the storm event, we've been getting several calls as to what can the community do to clean up their own properties. So TDS has a service in our agreement to do bulk pickups. If you need a contact or reach out for a bulk pickup, the residents themselves can communicate that to their schedule with TDS. Their information is found on the screen, but I will be putting a news alert outside to the website we'll probably put a flyer outside the door and put it in the utility bill that go out tomorrow. So please contact them. There are some restrictions to how you could bundle up your organic debris. They can carry out about 3 cubic yards of brush. It can't be branches or logs larger than 4 feet or 4 inches in diameter and must be bundled up. But this is a program that we do every year. So if you need help cleaning your property and getting rid of the debris, please contact TDS. And as mentioned earlier, we will be putting an expense report on all the storm damages at the next council meeting. Yes, Mike?
Quick question, now, I think I know the answer. The siren we have set up, that's only for flood, right?
Right.
It does not work for tornadoes.
Right, so
That's what somebody asked me that question. I thought it was just floods.
correct. So those sirens are meant for evacuation. Best thing to do, according to the weather service, was to stay indoors, given the hail and the kind of impact of the wind it would have. The safest thing was to stay indoors.
So does the siren work?
We're currently working with Pueblo County Emergency Services to reboot the sirens. We did a testing about a month or two ago, and they found that the horn is not picking up the reception from the 911 dispatch. And
I guess my other question, is there any way with the sirening system, could we incorporate it into a tornado event?
The issue you have there is having people in the community trained enough to distinguish 2 different sirens.
Right.
And there's some risk in that. And that's something we'd want to discuss over and probably have a workshop on. But for now, we're just going to use the siren for one emergency event, which is flooding, which has a very different response than a tornado type of event.
But from my personal experience, I was watching Doppler radar. I said, man, I had the big screen TV and I was showing Marcy, my wife, hey man, I think we're gonna miss it. And right when I was pointing, lost power, lost everything. So we were totally in the dark. Our phones quit working, nothing worked. So it would be maybe a good discussion in the future to incorporate that.
Battery powered radios are a great thing to have in your emergency kit. Maybe that's something that we can put out a list of a basic emergency kit for everybody to have on it.
Reminders.
Cause I lost everything. I don't know about you guys. I didn't have any cell phone.
Right.
In the dark. Okay, that's all.
I just wanted to say that with direct communication with Hector, because that day we had gotten the weather service alert from the, how we get it through the computer. So then I called the mayor since she was out of town and she wasn't sure about the sirens because I asked her and she said to call the chief. So then I called the chief and then the chief got in touch with Hector. And then Hector said that, because we didn't know, and it's scary being in that situation. So when I talked to Hector and everything was done, I said, hey, Hector, the chief stated that our sirens are flood only. Is that true? Because I could have sworn you said they were emergency sirens, flood and tornado, just trying to get clarification. And he responded with, I won't know until the technician sets it up. So when the technician sets it up, that's whenever he said it would be either if it was flood or tornado or how it's going to be. So I would say to get with Hector.
We've been asking Hector to set up a continuing operations tabletop exercise with the county so we can work through and exercise our response options. We've been unsuccessful thus far on convincing them to take that step. And so really we're doing the best we can with our own devices and then relying on Hector for kind of post-effect coordination on any services that might be needed. But in terms of immediate response, everybody in the community, it's best to make sure there's, I think in CapCog and the county and others, you can sign up for emergency alert notifications. If you probably already received them from the weather service, on your phones now. Sign up for every, San Marcos, Lockhart, ourselves, sign up for as many as you can, because that way you'll be the most informed you can be on these things.
And
And then follow directions on what those alerts are telling you to do. That's probably the best way to go about it. Not everybody has a smartphone, understand that, but for those who do, that's probably the best way to get notified and respond to an emergency situation.
Right, just kind of from what National Weather Service says, people take shelter in a sturdy building away from windows, people and outdoors animals will be severely injured. So the National Weather covers those emergency.
And
alerts.
see, so our cell phone was completely out.
Right, but this warning was from right before the event, thankfully.
Got it?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Also, we called Bluebonnet, and they came out and evaluated our trees. So they said they were a danger to the electrical line. So they're gonna be chopping the tree right in front of my house,
Oh, wow.
most of it.
Wow.
Well, they can only chop about this far from the ground, and then we'll take care of the rest.
Large one?
The whole tree, yeah, it's about 70 foot tall.
Wow.
And so when the inspector came out and the arborist, they looked at it, and they said, if there's another storm, the way your tree is now, it's gonna knock out the power lines.
Yeah.
So they're gonna come take care of the whole tree. And then on the side, we've got another tree that goes, it's still about 60 foot tall, I guess, but if one of the branches falls, it'll do the same thing, so they're gonna trim that up. So if you are feeling like maybe your trees could cause some danger, Bluebonnet will come and evaluate.
Oh, that's good
And they
advice.
will do it free of charge.
Yeah, Dorothy and I, we had our trees done in the backyard a year and a half ago. Same thing. Yeah, yeah. The side road, the side in between, and in the back, we have an easement. And same thing, there's the bur oak was,
And that saves you a lot of money because you
Yep.
don't have to take care of
Okay.
it.
Okay, council, is there any more questions about this report? Okay, let's go on to the financial report.
Hello. Wayne Anderson, the city accountant. Give this report once a month. This is the report for April. So begins with the cash balance report. As of May 13th, you see the balances in our first 6 accounts are at First Lockhart Bank. I guess 7th counting the utility, the community development. So $103,000, 781 in operating funds over at First Lockhart Bank. The next section has Tex Pool, which is a state sponsored investment fund. If you'll scroll up, Adrian, there's several lines there. First one that's of interest, you see the emergency fund here has $256,000 in it. So if we had a major emergency, that money could have been dipped into to help with that. Other investments, you see interest that's accumulated, grant funds, child safety. You saw some of that money spent last weekend, maybe, or
Well, the
Coming
rodeo
weekend.
is this coming
coming
Saturday.
weekend. That's why the bikes are still here.
Yeah,
So some of that money spent. Park Mobile, that's the parking in the parks. That money continues to accumulate a couple $1,000s a month. And I'm putting it in that special spot there. General fund overflow is just excess operating funds that roll over from year to year. Hotel tax, you see, we're sitting at nearly $50,000 in the bank on that. And then some of our utility deposits, long-term, customers are there earning interest. So you see total $1,053,000 in the bank. And the amount due the comptroller for our fines from some 15 years ago, I believe, 271,000. That number goes down about $2,000 a month.
Hey, Dwayne, real quick question. So that Park Mobile, that's from as of January 1st. Did we bring some over from last year or is that?
That's
So what do we-
cumulative.
that's
So what-
cumulative since July.
So how much funds have we got since the first of the year?
Roughly 4,000.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I got $2,000 the other day came in, I think 1,400 last month, and then, you know, it's ramping up, right now, so 4,000. sounds reasonable. Okay, next will be our budget reports. We are, through April, we're 58% through the year. So if you look at that last column there on the line items, you'll see kind of where we are versus 58%. So you can see we brought in 97% of the property tax revenue through April. Then you see sales tax, franchise fees, permits, interest incomes, you know, pretty much all the revenue items are looking strong. Court revenue is not what we expected. So we're getting kind of go down to a little bit. We don't lose the court revenue. There it is, 32,000. So that one's not quite what we expected. And then, so you see $536,000 roughly this fiscal year to date of the 690,000 expected so far. So next we have expenses. And last month, this report, we're on a new format here. And last month, this report was way too long. So I've tried to condense it some and we'll continue to work on it. But you see, we've spent on administration, we spent $202,000, only a third of the budget. On public safety, looks like we've spent a lot more. I'll have to look and see what's going on there.
That doesn't look right.
Yeah, it doesn't look right, does it? Oh, well, I know why, because the budget does not include payroll. When we started this fiscal year, all of the payroll was in admin. So that's why that one looks out of line, but the dollars spent should be correct that have been spent on public safety through April. Public works, that's going to be street and road repair mainly. Then culture and recreation, that's going to be the library and the parks. If you go down a little further, you see the parks. So, so far, growing up a little bit, $436,000 has been spent, or 63% of the budget. So it looks like we're about $100,000 to the positive on revenue versus expense in the general fund. So we have 4 funds. General fund is general government operations, admin, police, parks, all of the things that you think of that a city would do. Then we have a utility fund, which is called sometimes you hear it called an enterprise fund. That's where we, you know, handle the utilities in a totally separate entity, so to speak. And then there's special revenue funds that track things like hotel tax revenue, other things that have real specific uses. And then there's a 4th fund, community development. That's where grant money that we get for the benefit of the community wash through that fund. So you'll see all of those. So we've done the first one, which is general fund at this point. So go on to the next one, Adrian, probably utility fund. Yeah. And so kind of go down and let's look at there's the big numbers, see what we brought in for wastewater, solid waste, other fees and lake charges. So we brought in $191,000 of a $345,000 budget, 55.6%. So we're pretty close to plan at 58% so far. Keep going. Okay, then expenses, you see administration, that's mainly going to be the cost of your clerks up front. Sewer, you've got maintenance like mowing and such. You've got wastewater treatment plant repair. That's I think that's mainly going to be Pete and his crew. Maintenance and repairs, other, I can't recall exactly what that is. But probably for the lift stations is what that section is. And then go on down to contracted services. There's not much, just utilities. We have water and electric to run the system that we purchased from outsiders. So you see that one is $2,000 to the positive through April. Then we have special revenue funds. You see we brought in hotel tax and sales tax that's dedicated to roads. We've also brought in a little bit of money for police training, that's $755. And then going down, Adrian, credit card usage fees, parking fee revenue, we talked about. So there's your number year to date anyway, 5655 since October. There's court fines that are specifically
56 something.
restricted to court use for things like security, computer systems. Those are the two that, the main ones that come to mind. So you get down to the bottom on this one. And we should be way to the positive. Yeah, $36,000 more we've brought in than we've spent so far this year. Community development, that's the grants I mentioned. You see, looks like we've gotten 46,000 on one grant, 5,000 on another. Go on down, transferred some money in. So 66,000 has come in and 66,000 spent. So that's that. And then this is just, if you'll make that a little smaller, y'all can see who we've written checks to in the month of April. And see if there's anything that's out of the ordinary.
The clerk folks, is that, I mean, I know that was a big fee to get in on that, but what's that payment going to be on is that a quarterly payment, the
You know,
$290?
this is some kind of an adjustment. The clerk book software
Mhm.
cost about $18,000.
But there's a subscription.
Yeah, there's a couple $1,000s a year after that. Go on down.
I remember you talking about that.
And so far for me, it's working well. You know,
The comptroller,
yes,
that's the one that we did the half, right?
the comptroller there, that's the state's portion of the fines that we collect, and we remit that quarterly. Yeah,
For there.
yes.
Yeah. You still got to do the
It's not the
report.
past, it's the current. That's what they didn't pay sometime years ago and we're still paying off.
It's not that new issue.
Got it.
We have to,
It's not on there.
yeah, not yet.
Yeah, you're right. They have not, we got our remittance just yesterday from the state and they still haven't started taking that money.
So we need to know,
Yeah.
start figuring the budget.
Yeah.
I'm very curious
Yeah,
how that's going to impact.
all right, keep going.
That way too. Get this focused on that.
All right, so there's your payments for the month. I guess that's probably about all of them. So, that's the finance report, I believe. Also going on, we have the, financial audit going on. The auditors have all of their documentation that they've requested. And, they, according to their, information they've sent me, they plan on having that report done by June 30th. So, they're doing that. And, I also have training this weekend to take a certification exam in June. And I should be a certified government finance officer sometime here in the future. So,
Yeah, with those acronyms.
yeah, I'll be right up there with the guy in Lockhart and Austin and other, it's the highest designation you can get for this. So I thought I'd try to do that. That's it. Unless you have any
They,
questions.
set a budget for an increase.
Ah,
Give me ideas, okay? He's gonna get a whole bunch of them on this training.
it's- yeah, usually people tell me, yeah, you can have it if you go find it, but
Are there any questions from the council?
I have one, not for him, but where's the court report? The judge. And my, I'm gonna ask the same question every time.
Right now,
Where's the report? First question, no report? When's the last time we've had a report?
I will say in his defense, his sister is on her deathbed.
Okay, I'll stop.
So right now we've
Okay.
given him some birth.
I will keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
his reports with the state are current. I will say that.
But why can't, okay.
Yeah.
I will say.
There you go.
Okay, King, we're ready for a police report.
Yes, if y'all see, my report looks a little different this time. Thank you, Adrian. We got a new computer system and they're not measuring up with each other right now, so, Adrian.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with IT, haven't
Yes.
we?
So Adrian helped me put this together last minute. Adrian did it all, actually, he did all the work. But, so this is our report. We had 56 citations in the month of April and, citations and warnings, I'm sorry. And, right to the right of it, on that top chart, that pie chart, it shows exactly what they were for. Our calls for service, second page on the second page. We had 26 calls for service. It says welfare concern, but that's actually calls for service. Sorry, that's my bad. I put that on there when I gave that to him. Animal calls, we had 12. Assist code enforcement, we had 5. Public assist for motorists and other things is 18. Traffic control, we had 6. Assist fire and EMS, 14. Incident reports, 5. City parks check, 17. Offense reports, 1. And crashes, we had 0. So we're pretty good in April on the crashes. We've already passed that so far this month though. But, yeah, so that was pretty much it. I'm grateful we got a new computer system. Our new computer system will work great once they get everything, that migration over. It's going good.
Yeah.
Pretty much it. Anybody? I'm out.
Thank you for your work during the. Thank you for your work during the storm.
Yeah, we're getting a brush cleared on 12 and 80. Helps tremendously. Blind spot there.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to canvassing the election. So motion to accept or deny ordinance 2024-05-16, canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the May 4th, 2024 general election to elect city council member place 1, place 3, and place 4 of Martindale, Texas. And Adrian has the numbers.
here's the results.
And there's the ordinance.
So you'll know more than vote for me.
Mike, why did you get less votes than everyone?
Well, well, we don't.
Mike, it was the setup question. Just let it go.
I had an answer for him, but I won't waste your time.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the election results?
I make a motion to accept the election results.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Do I have a second?
May I have discussion?
Oh, I forgot. Just let me do the motion and then before we take the vote, I will allow you to speak. I'm so
Thank you.
sorry, I forgot.
I
Okay.
second that.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Go
Okay.
ahead, say it, Sam.
Sam is a second, okay. Okay, so Sonia would like to say a few words.
Well, I mean, this is in regards to the election.
Election,
Just like discussion about it. So on, there's some, because we're canvassing the votes and we're verifying that the votes are true. And that's, you know, one of our American privileges that we need to make sure that our voting rights are protected. And, you know, for those that vote, I take it very serious. But here on the first day of early election, Councilmember McLeod's name was not on the ballot. So there was, the paper ballots had to be printed. There had to be a call to the state to let them know his name was missing off the ballot. There were 16 votes that were not counted. They could have voted for McLeod or they might not have voted for McLeod. But anyway, those are 16 residents whose votes, if they voted for Councilmember McLeod, that were not counted. So whenever our ballot comes out, there is a proxy ballot or a sample ballot that is sent to the city. Somebody has to sign off on it. So however that happened or that mishap happened, it happened, and that's how it played out. Now for that, there is a cost incurred with the mistake that happened. So there will be, that's included with the amount. So I just wanted to make sure that whenever I say that I accept, I want to verbally put on the record that that is what happened. I know it was recommended that a statement be put out from the city, and it was just a recommendation. You could do it, you don't have to do it, like whatever. And I mean, but I think like in full transparency, it would have been important for citizens to know, because what if you were one of the ones who voted on that first day? So that's all I wanted to say.
I can address that. So there's a procedure when someone is running unopposed that the city council can recognize that that place is unopposed. The city did that. There was a small technicality that came up in the follow through of that motion that accepted that somebody was unopposed. A second activity was needed through an ordinance to declare that person already elected. That second procedure wasn't followed through. And so in order to ensure the election result in that place being filled, we made the amended ballot. So it's not something we deal with that often. It's possible, you know, and so we were rather safe than sorry on this one.
And in 2021, the legislature had passed a law to do exactly what we had done. And then in 23, they reversed it. So there was some confusion at the county and at the state level.
Steve McLeod, you could add 16 more votes.
Well, you know what, thanks for asking Mr. Bud's question. Did that sufficiently answer the questions why I'm asking for your vote? That's sufficient.
Look, I'm gonna stick with there was just 16 less people to vote. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome, sir. Thanks for the explanation.
Okay, so we,
Question about that.
yes, ma'am.
So with the 16 votes that were all for Mike, what, does that mean their entire ballot was discounted?
No,
Probably I got 16 more votes than Terry, and it's not just me.
no, they were not discounted. All of those ballots counted on Monday.
Y'all did a lot better than I did on my first time. A lot better.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Oh, before I go there, and before we go to the next item. Well, no, let me go ahead and finish the vote and then I'll say something.
Oh,
So I have a motion.
well, let
Do
me
you have
ask one thing. How many registered voters do you know how many we have in the city?
I believe it's in attachment below.
We have had 121 votes, 123.
I know I have it somewhere, but it's not in the attachments here, but if you want me to get back to you with that, I can.
Okay, thanks.
So we have
That's
a
it, thank you.
motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries. And now, before we go to the next item, I believe Sonia wanted to say something to,
Oh, yes, I did. So, I just wanted to, say, kind of just summarize, it's been 8 years since I've been on, council. And I just wanted to say to my constituents, it has been a huge privilege and honor to serve on this council for the past 8 years, and as mayor pro tem. I believe I leave the city, in a better condition, than it was before, and we continue to make strides as community and as council members. And some of my most proudest moments is that I was able to form the Martindale River Advisory Board, along with the votes from the council members who voted to actually make that a board. And then also for the dark sky resolution, which is now an ordinance. And I was proud to stand alongside Aaron Zwiener's husband whenever we had the disaster and we passed out water here in the area. So I was able to coordinate the water efforts here in Martindale, Texas. I have supported the library, and it's, been here in this community, which all of our SMCISD, employees came yesterday to look at town. They met Adrian to see what a precious resource we have here. And then I think one of the saddest points for me here was whenever Adil was killed over there in Butterfly Meadows. But I was glad that we were able to have a vigil for him, and they were able to pray, and that they knew that we're a caring, loving community, and we pray for all that were affected. But I think that was something that really was sad that happened here. So I've been blessed with showing gratitude towards river conservation, dark sky preservation, and protecting and advocating for bicycle safety, which is something that's near and dear to the mayor and her husband. And I'm glad that we're able to do that here in Martindale. And then creating more stringent impervious cover limits, and taking a stance against a smart terminal, being able to put something out there in writing that says that we as Martindale, we do not agree with that development that was there. So most importantly, I just want you to know wholeheartedly that your concerns did not fall on deaf ears. And if I had a chance to advocate for you, I would. And as council members, we don't always agree, nor should we, but it's in debating our differences that we have represented our city as tough decisions have been made. And by actions, you will demonstrate that you all are here because you want to make a difference. I want to congratulate you two that are going to be on the council, and definitely my prayers will be with you for the duration while you're here and making decisions. And also, I think like the common passion should be, it's putting the city before politics, and is what's going to unite us. And so, I'm sitting here because of my grandmother that came and she received her naturalization from Eagle Pass. We are from Allende, Coahuila, Mexico. And she was able to get her naturalization in 1913. And it's because of my mothers, my grandmothers, and everybody and what they instilled in me. My family being proud, serving in the military. I had a brother that was killed. So, so we believe in our freedoms, and, we love being here in America, in our country. I have a daughter that's serving right now. So I didn't take my position lightly. If I ask questions, it's because we should ask questions, because we're speaking for all of our community. So if I did ask questions and they made you feel weird or uncomfortable, I'm not sorry, because that's what we have to do, in these positions. And sometimes tough questions do make people uncomfortable, but you should always want to welcome conversation. So just thank you. But most importantly, my guy right there, I would not be able to do it without my husband, always supporting me and always loving me and always guiding me and encouraging me. And I'm sorry for missing your birthday, this last birthday, but thank you, because you made it possible with all your support in.
And
thank
sorry, you forgot that one point. You voted to make city land park.
Oh, yeah, we did.
That's what was the start of our parks.
Yeah.
Okay, and in recognition of your service, we did get you a leadership award. And, you can hang it on the wall, or I got you standing.
Thank you. Did you get one?
And now Sonia will vacate her seat. We will swear in the two new people, and then they will take their seats up here right away today. So we have Judge DeLeon. She is the Justice of the Peace for Precinct 3, and she has graciously accepted our request to do the swearing in. And we're going to swear in all three people at the same time. So if you can come and stand right here in front of the judge. This way, however face we use. Yeah, right here. Signature on each one.
Oh, that would be me.
Yeah.
Freedom ends.
And then she had a plaque or a little certificate for you.
Is that right?
No, I'm.
What do you want?
Maybe facing this way. Maybe in front.
Get the flag behind.
Oh, now they're switching.
Sorry, what you did.
I'm moving.
Terry, this is Terry.
These people moving.
Middle?
Yeah.
For the pictures.
I want to have y'all in order, so I know who you are.
Oh,
So Terry, you're Terry.
Oh, so
And then
you have to go in the middle.
I'm Laura.
And then,
She knew you weren't fine.
so what I'm gonna do is, because I'm gonna swerve the three of you in, is, I'm gonna ask you to repeat after me and say I, and then say your name. And then I say your name, I say your name, and then all together, you're gonna repeat after me, to swear the word. Okay? Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. Thank you, Mayor, for asking me to be here. I'm very honored. Repeat after me. I,
I,
Hi.
Warner. I, Laura Sanchez Fowler.
Hi, Mike McLeod.
okay, repeat after me, all three of you. Raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear
Do
solemnly
swear
that I have not,
that I have not
that I have not,
or indirectly,
or
or
indirectly,
indirectly
offered, promised to pay,
offered or promised to pay,
contributed,
contributed,
or promised to contribute
or promised to contribute
any money
any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office
or promised any public office
or employment
or employment
for the giving or withholding
for the giving or withholding
of a vote
of a vote
at the election
at the election
at which I was elected,
at which I was elected,
or as a reward
or as a reward
to secure
to secure
my appointment
my
appointment
appointment
or confirmation,
or confirmation,
whichever the case may be.
whichever
whichever the case may be.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So y'all have been officially sworn in. Y'all decided to make people nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Terry,
You did it.
Terry, can you hold this? I'm gonna step it up.
Well, I'll get the top page after she signed it, and you get to keep the second one.
Terry, do you want me to take pictures for you?
Sure. I just need to sign it. I don't have to do that, but I'll wait.
Oh, okay.
Laura, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think so. Thank you.
Mike, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is the name.
Thank you.
Okay, then you want me to?
Yeah, Judge, we want to see you too.
All right, you make me feel tall.
Thank you.
Y'all want to stand back there? Or right there, good? Okay, we can do that. 1, 2, 3. Oh, great. Good job. Got it.
Congratulations. Thank you, Judge. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really And these are gonna go to Adrian.
Thank you.
That's Adrian.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I've been here as long as you, almost.
Other than Tony, I'm the longest serving one.
You came a little ahead of me.
You're the dean.
I'm the dean. The wisdom.
Thank you, sir.
You can protect me from getting you.
Oh, yes. Nick is gone. Laura, look at that, right underneath.
Look at you, man.
It's a done
Isn't
deal.
that- Aren't those comfy chairs?
Yeah, they are.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you just stacked me. All right. Okay, so we've done 3.1 and 3.2. And now we're ready to move on to 3.3. We need to elect who's second in command if I'm not in here like last week. So we need to elect a mayor pro tem, and that comes from the city council. So,
I'll tell you what, I'll make a motion for Matthew McGovern to be the pro tem.
okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it.
Like the sound of that.
It was in stereo.
I know, I got both sides. It was perfect.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. The next item is to consider the appointment of the planning and zoning chairs. So do we have a motion for planning and zoning chairs?
I make a motion that Mr. McLeod continue his role as the chairman of the P and Z.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, Mike. Congratulations. Okay, and then we are going to appoint a vice chair. So a vice chair would work closely with Mike. Is there anyone who would be interested in doing the vice?
I'll make the motion to appoint Sam Clinton as the vice chair.
Okay,
Second.
so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Do you want it?
Oh, yes.
I didn't say no.
I said no too.
So that's good.
Okay,
It might be you, Mike. I don't know.
okay, so we have a motion and a second, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay. And I already recognized the outgoing council, so we'll move on to the last item. The status updates on the mini pitch program. Adrian's been working on this, so.
All right, so last council meeting, we discussed having that mini pitch program set up at the Hobson Ranch Green Space. We're asked to go get quotes. The only quote that I've gotten back so far is at 29,500, I want to say. It's about that price range we're looking at. Additional information on that, we're not in such a hurry anymore.
Wait, what?
We are not in such a hurry anymore because the folks at the USA Soccer Foundation, who's working the grant, have mentioned to me that as long as we make a decision by the first week of June, we should be fine. So it gives us some more time to get some community outreach, but before I start putting flyers out and surveys and holding a kind of a panel discussion or workshop with the public, especially from Hobson Ranch and Butterfly Meadows, I kind of wanted to get the appetite from the city council. At the last meeting, we also discussed about the financing, about the utilities necessary for the project. On top of the conversation I had with the USA Soccer Foundation folks, they had mentioned that it's been done before, but they can waive the electrical component to the project. Now, before council has their input on that, I might make a recommendation to allow the community, at least from Hobson Ranch, have a say in it. See if the electrical is going to be an issue. It is dark sky compliant and focused on the soccer field itself. What do you guys think about it? Do we want to push it towards them to have a say on that, or do we want to make that decision internally? Because there will be some finances attached to that if we do pursue it.
I just wanted to get some more clarification from the city because we have our park and we have our green space. Hobson Ranch and the pond has been considered a green space. The mowing of that is done separately from the park system. And so our park system budget does not pay for that. Now, we will be having there conceptually a sports park. Are we going to be distinguishing between a sports park and a park, or is a sports park a park?
The maintenance of that facility will fall under the Parks and Recreations budget.
I have a question about the 29,000. Did, I can't remember who decided to donate the 25, okay, Mark. So is he gonna cover all of that? Or do we have to come up with?
Before he locks in, he wants to have more quotes on the contract for it, which is only natural.
What's the size? Adrian, you didn't specify, what size was that slab?
So it'll be the 50 by 84, which is the smallest dimension that we can get poured under with that same price range.
Have you had any bids for contract, any prices given to us?
Yeah, one,
One.
Well, how much was that?
29.5, that's what he said.
We had another contractor lined up to come out Wednesday, but they no showed.
Right.
Now, would that be a concrete?
Right, it's a 5-inch concrete slab.
It's all with rebar, all that. I mean, did you ask questions about, we're in black gumbo land, you got to be, you should know that. Are they local?
They are.
So they're aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems reasonable, really, for 3,000 square feet of, 4,000 square feet of concrete, 5 inches thick. Only 29,000.
That's more than I thought.
At the last meeting, we weren't expecting to make this happen. I mean, it's only showing that this project is a lot more feasible than our first impression was. So, with all the information, at least disclosed today, what does the council want us to?
I guess,
Before we go there, have we figured out the access, road access, graveling, and those elements? Because that's,
Why don't you have everybody stop talking so we can hear you?
Good idea.
so one of the other elements that I'm worried about is parking and road access and how that's all going to fit within the space. Is that access going to be at the front of the neighborhood, right at that intersection, or is it going to be on the backside and people are looping around? What kind of, walking trails might be provided for people in the neighborhood? Those are some of the things that are additional costs, not large costs, but a few $1,000s for sure. Put that in. So, and if we reach the commitment level, the private investment, private donation commitment level, there's still going to be cost to the city, even if we don't do electric. And we haven't estimated that yet. So like every grant that we take now, we find nothing is free. This one is definitely one of those situations.
Put a Google Maps.
I feel like it is counterproductive to go to Butterfly Meadows and Hobson and say, we've got this project. We know we kind of want to put it here. We don't know anything else. I feel like you can't just ask people to respond to nothing and decide whether or not they want it. I think you're gonna have to put some parameters around it and say, this is what the space would look like.
We
Here's
do that.
how you, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've got a picture of it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about right there. This is what the space is gonna look like. This is where we would envision maybe people could park. These are kind of the hours we would envision it would be used. This is what we figure it would be used for. The lighting is night sky compliant, but we're thinking we would mostly use it during the day. I think you give them a vision and then you ask them to respond to the vision. Depending on what concerns they have, you might then alter the vision, but you got to have something for them to respond to. Just going, here's a picture of what it would look like. I don't think that's fair to ask people to decide based on that, because their concerns are probably going to be much more practical than that.
Right.
So that'll be part of that outreach. And
But we haven't decided any of that, right? Like it's not, nobody knows the answers to any of those things. That's what I'm hearing. So until those decisions are made, you can't really reach out to anyone. Like Terry was trying to talk to people in her neighborhood. She wasn't even sure exactly what she was describing or what to tell them about it. So it's really hard for them to then say, yes, I'm in favor of this, or no, I'm not in favor of that, because they don't know what it is.
Well, I told them as much of it as I knew and described it the best I could. The only part I wasn't sure about is how much the slab would cost and whether or not that would be covered. So a lot of them were basing it on, well, if it's gonna cost the city this amount, or if it's gonna cost them a lot, then no, I wouldn't agree with that. But they had a lot of questions like, well, where would the parking be? Would it be at night? You know, would they have events there at night? And of course, those will be questions. So I mean, that's not anything that we've really decided yet, but I mean, but I definitely think they should have input. It would not make sense not to not give them.
Shouldn't we analyze the impact that it's gonna have on those neighborhoods? You
Absolutely.
know, the traffic going in and the traffic
Absolutely.
going out. The time of day is important, of course, but the impact,
Right.
because you're gonna have the noise levels go up, you're gonna have a lot of, well, the noise level is gonna be high.
And trash.
Sport.
Mhm.
Right there.
Trash, and there's no telling. I mean, there has to be a bathroom out there, I would assume. So then there could be plumbing issues. It could be a smell, but who knows?
So what I'm hearing, we should have a workshop.
I think that would be a good
And
idea.
prior to the workshop, we have a sketch, a drawing of the proposed site with the soccer field and parking.
Have
Oh.
people been notified? I haven't.
No, no.
That's the purpose of this, is that.
that's what we're having
to
the
notify.
discussion now.
That's the next step. That's, we're basically saying we do need community input. We
Yeah.
need community, we want community, we don't want to vote here without getting community input. That would be,
Oh, yeah.
you know, we have the right, but we don't want to do that. That's not doing good by them. You know, good by our neighbors. So, if we have the size, we can stake it, give people a visualization of where it's gonna be. Now that I know the size, I know you provided a map before, so we have a good idea roughly where it would be located. And then, obviously, you gotta walk the location and see where parking could go.
Yeah.
And then, based on that size, would not need a lot of parking, because that's not a lot of players. So
Right, it's gonna
That's
be
a small unit.
Smallest field that they offer.
Well, I guess another question that some of the people had was, is it going to be used like for several leagues that are gonna be throughout, you know, this area? Or is it gonna mostly be used for people who live in the city? Or, you know, is it something where it's gonna be tournaments where there's people from all over? You know, like what exactly?
No,
And I was like, well,
The only time that's gonna happen is once a year for the next 5 years. And that's a sponsored event from the US Soccer Foundation. And that's for buy-in for other mini pitch programs.
But you don't know right now, you wouldn't know that whether or not people want it to be used that way. Maybe people see that as an advantage because it would bring in more people that would have their kids here, so people would eat at our restaurants and whatever, and we would,
I would be happy to come up with a survey, like a question, you know, something where I can come up with questions that I think are important to ask the citizens and let them check yes or no, or let them write down what concerns are. And I mean, I'd be willing to do something like that so that at least I mean, I don't know that we're gonna have time, and I don't know that anybody will come to the meetings for the most part, not as much as we would like. So I think if I can send out a survey in both of those neighborhoods, and the lady who lives, practically her fence butts up to that, I think it would have some important input, but I would be willing to come up with a survey of questions and at least get the comments started. Then maybe if anyone sees anything that's really startling, then they would be willing to at least, write something in the public comments or come and address it even before we have the workshops.
And then what about the calculations for impervious ground cover and commercial? It's 70?
Well, right now, technically, there's no impervious cover on the lot.
It what?
There's no impervious cover on the lot.
Yeah, it's all grass.
It's all 3 acres, so roughly, I think it's 3 acres. And so this is gonna be 4,000, but yes, I hear what Laura is saying about, are the parking lots gonna be concrete? Are they gonna be gravel? Is there gonna be decomposed granite pathways? Is there gonna be lighting on the pathways? And you mentioned a bathroom. I don't think in the drawings that I've seen, a bathroom is not included. So we can't afford to install a bathroom we would have a porta potty there, I guess, but.
But even that requires maintenance. I mean,
Right.
requires.
We're very familiar with that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I guess my question, and I asked this to Adrian, and did we ever get a definitive answer that, if we don't get the lights, can that money from the lighting cost be used for something else?
So yeah, not to confirm that, but we are given about $100,000, which is estimated for the labor and installing of the cages and the bleachers and marking up the ground. They themselves put $100,000 limit,
Was it one lump sum?
but they're gonna spend it. They're not gonna deposit $100,000 to our account.
But what I'm
Ask
asking,
them.
could we subtract the lighting cost? Because that's gonna be a lot for the lighting, the electrical. That's gonna save quite a bit of money.
The
Not
lighting's
really.
on.
All it is we're required to do everything, including the roughings. All they do is come up with a pole with the lights on it, attached to the rough ends and bolt it down, and that's it. So
We
you're not
still gotta
really,
provide a pole, a breaker box, underwater electrical, conduit. There's costs there.
all the conduit and stuff would be our responsibility.
So there's something we could eliminate that cost. And as I discussed it with Adrian, Terry, question for you, Terry. Question for
Yes.
you. If we did not have lights, that would make it day use only. So if there's concerns, if the, say the neighborhood says, we're all for this, but we don't want people playing at 10 o'clock at night. So if you eliminated the lights, that would make it for day use only.
Well, Mike, it's a park, so we can always put time limits on parks.
But I'm just saying though, that would eliminate any use. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
The partnership that is co-sponsoring this with the soccer league is a sports lighting company.
So,
So,
right, and then
And I guess
even though
they
we
could put it
still ask the
in, and
question,
then
Wait,
if.
hold on, he hasn't answered.
Hold on, what?
yet.
still ask the question to the folks from the grant who provided the grant, and they've done projects where they've excluded the requirement for lighting. We know that it's a partnership with the sports lighting company, but they've recognized in some situations it's not feasible. But they definitely, the main objective is to place soccer courts around the country, have a facility for,
Is there a need? What is the need for having?
well,
We have grant, I understand there's money. that we
Right.
spent.
Well, it could bring-
no, it's not that there's money. It's the other way around. This project is one that, like, that is the project.
What is the need? Is there a?
There's
need?
children.
There's children
Yeah, so shouldn't they have something to do?
Actually, months ago, Maury came to us and said, is this something, he says, I have an end with the soccer league. And I could get Martindale this mini court if the community wants it. So that's what we're trying to decide. Does the community want it?
Couldn't it also bring in revenue? I mean, I think, or would that money go to the city? I mean, if people, like, if there's concessions, or does it all go?
You can charge for parking if you wanted to.
So that's really would be the only source of.
Or concessions.
Yeah, but what about the
Plus the-
liability too? Somebody gets hurt on it. Is there a liability? Is
We
there-
have a playground down the street. People could get hurt on that all the time.
We do have liability insurance on,
We always have, of course,
we always have it.
that's a given, yeah.
Because, real quick, Terry, didn't you say that you had some people concerned about night and do like, so that's what I'm saying. We could do kill two birds with one stone by having no lighting, therefore we ensure the neighborhood that it'll be day use only.
We probably ought to wait and see if the neighborhood minds the lighting. I mean, there may be a person or two that doesn't want it and maybe everyone else does, or maybe not. We don't know because we haven't asked. But I wouldn't start killing the lighting or any part of the project until you actually ask people, do they want tournaments? Do they want lighting? Do they want whatever?
Workshop.
So what I'm getting is from the council,
There's enough children in that little community of mine.
No, it wouldn't just be anybody in
just be the
Martindale, just like
neighborhood, everybody.
anybody can use the playground, anybody could go over and use that. I mean, it's community property for
Well,
the
that's what we're
city.
saying. That's why the traffic would be an issue, the parking would be an issue. Getting in and out of the subdivision is already an issue.
So back to your point,
You don't have to be playing at 10 o'clock at night.
The rest of the parks
I'm
close
usually not
early.
even home
Yeah.
from 7 to 6 during the week. So if it was on the weekends, it probably wouldn't be an issue.
So
And if it's after 5 o'clock, yes, sorry.
back to your point that your constituent, or your neighborhood you
Mhm.
represent, which is great. And they said they don't want the city to spend any extra money. And I have to agree with that. We're a poor city. So if we can save as much money as possible, like no electricity, lighting be used for other things, it's gonna cost us less. And I think, in my personal opinion, this is just my opinion, we as a city are providing a valuable real estate for this project. So I think personally, the city has done their share for this project. Because we're providing this, that probably is worth $250,000, $300,000. We have provided the real estate. That's just my personal.
It's a retaining pond. I don't think anyone's gonna pay $250,000 for it.
Well, I'm just saying land values. if you have a
There is
house.
land around it.
There is land around it.
There is value to the real estate, but whatever, it is, it is.
so it sounds like there's some appetite for us to go and ask the community to develop some kind of vision of the project. Distribute that to the hubs around the city and
Do you want the city staff to come up with proposed rules? For example, if there is lighting, is it a 9 o'clock, 8
Yeah,
o'clock
that would
hour?
be great.
Do you want the city staff to make that decision in terms of?
And then if people don't want that, we can negotiate that. But then at least it gives them something, a starting point, rather than just like kind of pulling stuff out of the sky.
So
We'll
should
start
we
off
have a
with, we'll start off with the
workshop?
lighting included. And we'll try to attempt to get as many costs, known costs as we can. The gravel road, the slab, well, it's gonna be covered. But the cost of connecting the lighting, running new electrical, whatever the 500 feet it is. So, we can try to get estimates before we put something out and put it on a website.
Do we need to pick the date for this workshop right now?
Well,
Or we need to pick a date?
The
So-
difficulty is they're trying to get us to commit by June 1st.
no, June 6th, so the next council meeting.
Oh, well, the next.
So we have 3 weeks from today, right? 3 weeks. So we could assign a workshop within these days,
Say June 1st.
and then I believe that the USA Soccer Foundation is gonna be here at the end of next week, Friday. He's flying down from DC there's other mini pitch projects going around in the Austin area. I think he mentioned there's one going in Lockhart.
There is?
But
Yeah, there is. There's going one in Lockhart.
There's several in Austin proper.
There's several in Austin, but the building wasn't long.
right, and so we could have a workshop on the 24th.
How are you gonna put out a survey?
Yeah,
That's pretty
or
much.
I'm filling out here.
That the city owns.
How will we look at the data on that quickly? I think the soonest you're able to do this is the 1st.
First.
Memorial Day is the 27th, is Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Memorial Day weekend on the 24, 25,
responses due
26.
by the 31st, then we look at the responses on the 1st.
Can we have it like at the daycare over there, since it would be, we want to make it, yeah.
If they're open to it.
Yeah, I was gonna want to engage with them and see
Yeah,
how they
Yeah.
might be able to participate. 'Cause my vision is that they're probably gonna just jump over the street. and work.
Good play. That's exactly, that's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
Would be beneficial.
They haven't been the most open to something like that because of their licensing requirements of operating a daycare, of having a bunch of people go basically beyond the front doors. So I'd be surprised if they agree to it.
Jerry, how about your house? Just kidding, just kidding.
Have room right here. Room right here.
Could we have some kind of drawing of this? Could we get some kind of
Mhm.
drawing to show
Yeah.
proposed parking lot?
So I'm gonna do a draft vision of what the project is and what we know. What
What
is gonna
about
be
the
expected.
value of the property? We could go up or go down?
The resale value of the property.
I don't imagine that
Around
the city's
that
gonna
area.
resell it, but parks usually increase property value, don't they?
Yeah, that land was dedicated as part of the development of Hobson Ranch.
Years
It
ago.
it might have even been Butterfly, honest. But at least Hobson Ranch is part of the land dedication requirement under our subdivision ordinance. That's-
I think she meant the people that live there. Would it make your property as a homeowner in Hobson go up or down if it had a?
So typically, if you have a park that is within walking distance, they'll make it go up, not down. Oh, yeah, we can eventually
We can expand on it. This is
Expand
not
it
like,
and-
this is not like
put
the
a-
one and done thing.
play
You know?
space out there.
Mhm.
under
We
another
could
grant.
put a
Well, yeah,
playscape
people
up.
talk about a walking
We could put a
track.
playscape up there. I mean, there's a lot of other things that can be done for
Mhm.
that. So,
I think the biggest problem is gonna be parking. It's so hard to get in and especially get out of there in the afternoon. There's traffic on 80 that.
Yeah,
It's scary.
in the morning and in the afternoon and on Saturday.
But then we cannot lease it out to other soccer leagues, say outside of the city limits. I mean, is this in the
Most soccer
contract?
leagues participate on regulation size fields. Unless they're an indoor soccer league, then they're probably using indoor facilities.
Well, and we
I
can
can't,
even
I can't
ask.
fathom that you would be able to rent a small recreational facility for any meaningful league or tournament. So
yeah.
they're gonna be looking for, one,
This is-
multiple fields, and two.
Yep.
Things that are much larger.
Yeah,
What
this is
is
a small
it-
field.
In other
Yeah.
cities where they have them, what is it normally used for? Just for
So
fun?
it's an additional amenity within a park.
Okay.
I'm not sure there'd be that many people there at one time.
Maybe not, yeah.
You know, the church down here, when the Baptist church was there and the basketball court and everything was all in good order, we had neighborhood kids all the time coming to toss the ball. And if you go down to the city park, there's people down there all the time, just kind of playing, not really
That's the ask.
competing, but just,
Some of these can be equipped with a basketball goal.
Mhm.
Oh, it's
Maybe that's what, if you don't do the lighting, maybe,
Yeah,
you
they
can-
would do
maybe
that.
that's
They
a
could build
swap that they would be
Yeah.
open to do.
I think pickleball looks fun.
Yeah, pickleball's all the rage right now
For the
too.
old- for the old folks.
So are you thinking roughly 20 parking spaces? Or, I mean, do you have a vision of how many spaces? I mean, you have a league. I mean, how many are on each team, say? 12?
Space like that, probably not more than.
5-on-5. That's small. Trust me. It's 5-on-5. We know.
You could park them all nose in towards the park.
yeah.
But if we had
Something like that.
better parking there, I think maybe it would be used for more things. We could eventually put some benches or around the pond or other
When it
things.
rains hard.
Yeah.
Do
the weather
I?
dries up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll go back to the drawing board, try and get some more figures and
Determine the date for workshop, right?
Did we say the 23rd, or is that bad because it's before Memorial Day weekend?
I don't think we're going to have a survey out that quickly
yeah, that,
and
Today's-
to get any meaningful responses. I think the soonest we could do it is probably the first.
First of
June.
Well, and will it include like, what type of activity they would want to include, or like, I guess tell them what it is and then.
Well, if we send them this attachment, that gives them an example, that whole attachment is like 30 pages. It
Okay.
shows setups for different events, you know, basketball, pickleball, tennis. It's a multifunction. Obviously, with this size, obviously, there's some limitations. Ideally, like for me, ideally, we can get one big enough where you can put 2 pickleballs on there, but I think it's big, I think it's bigger than the 50, so the
Well,
cost gets expensive.
These people must be really tiny in this picture, because this thing looks huge.
Well, there's different
There's different-
sizes.
there's-
We're getting a
Okay,
very
what we're
small
doing
one.
Is not this big.
No.
Okay, that's how I was like, that does not look 50 by 80 or
No,
4.
no, much larger.
Okay,
My printer died when I printed that out, so I didn't get all the different sizes.
Well, I mean, is there some way though, since we think we may have the workshop on the first, is to have Terry or have someone come up with just a flyer that we need to give
Right.
the people there like 2 or 3 weeks in advance, so they can talk about it, so they can speak to you about it. I mean, could we have a flyer of?
If
So we could do
any
a launch.
council member send questions or issues we think want addressed to Adrian by close of business tomorrow, if you can. We can use Microsoft Forms as a survey tool. We'll post a link to that on our website, and then they can also access PDF attachments through that link, and along with other pictures that we can quickly doodle on in PowerPoint or something and save as PDFs. It's not going to be real engineered drawing with everything, but it gives people enough of an idea of what's going on.
So you're saying you think you can get something on the city website by close of business tomorrow? Okay, that would be great.
And hopefully on the utility statements as well. Tomorrow we're doing utility billing. So,
that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
I
put
think
the
I
link on
understood it
utility bill.
mostly for the people in America.
So are we gonna determine a potential
Yeah.
date for the workshop or?
potential date is gonna be Saturday, June 1st.
For a workshop?
And paying for it, I mean, is there a grant? I mean, I'm sure people are gonna ask and say, well, I don't wanna use my taxpayers' money. Is there a grant? So how are we planning to pay for the slab or the electrical? Is there other?
We can start with
It
some
would
notice.
come out of the parks budget. It's not a joke. That's where it would come from.
I mean, there's no
Okay, so Maury's
resilient.
giving
I agree.
$25,000.
Well, it's gonna cost them more than that, but I mean, we don't have any grant money left for.
We don't, but
Oh,
we
we might
suggested
have
last
some
time to look
ARPA
for like
funds,
Bonnet
but-
to donate.
that we allocated to the general fund that we could look at using. That would save some of the park's budget, but the park is gonna be, it right now is handsomely financed. We are having larger outlays than we've had previously because now we have a maintenance contract. But I think we're still,
$24,000 a year.
right, and I think we're gonna capture that this summer and still have another $15,000 or $19,000 remaining in that budget. So, I mean, it really would probably come from the parks budget plus whatever float we're able to pull out of the ARPA, but there's some other asks from the police department on how to use some of the ARPA funds that we haven't brought.
As I stated earlier, I'm agreeing with a lot of people. We are a poor city and we're providing real estate. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, and that's what we're here to do is we've been offered this, and as a council, we just need to look at it. And is this something the city wants to do, yay or nay? So we'll go and get more information, ask neighbors, see, and
Have a
come back
workshop, Have a workshop.
Yeah.
Input.
and decide.
Well, and then what do we do if really we don't get much input at all? Then we just basically make the decision based on what we know.
The information that we have.
Okay.
Public must participate, should be heard.
Okay, I wanted to make an announcement before we adjourn. The bicycle rodeo is this coming Saturday. It has not been well advertised. It's 10 to 12, and so if you know any children that would like to participate. We had a great time last year. And we have 4 bikes to give away. So as a drawing, so, and we have bicycle helmets we're giving away, and the police are here, and Adrian's here. He's gonna do the thing again.
Adrian's gonna do his thing. Do we have are we having the fire truck come? Do we know about that?
We had
Matthew said he was gonna try and come,
Yeah,
but I don't know if he was gonna be working that day. He said he was gonna get back to us on it.
I'm not sure Matthew's working that day, but, he was gonna let me know.
Yeah, he was, when I talked to him on Tuesday, he was gonna, because he usually is here on Saturday.
so you have 2 guys on the fire board. That's why I hesitated. Wasn't sure. But she is at, so the police are gonna be here and they're gonna help show the rules of the road and everything. So it's really fun. It's really informative and
In the library, we'll be giving out packets for kids, activities, drawings, things like that. All they do is just.
and information. I saw the packets. They're really neat.
They said there was like an obstacle course and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. I was there last year.
Only a
remember
couple of
seeing-
kids got
Good
skinned
kiddos.
up.
They did.
Before we adjourn, I have a question for the mayor about future agenda items for our new council here. We, in the past, would have that line item on the agenda of the city council meetings where we'd say future agenda items. Sometimes we email, what is the process that we're using now, or what do you prefer? So our new folks know here when they want to put something on the agenda.
Email me.
Email you,
Mhm.
okay? Thank you,
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Mayor Travis,
Yes.
could you possibly
Yeah.
recognize with a certificate of appreciation for Sean McDonald for getting out in the storm?
That would be a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be,
He also helped a lot with
Yes,
that.
he is getting paid to also.
I mean, his tractor is what cleaned up almost all of
We're gonna
that
get-
property on 1979.
Yes.
So,
Okay, I have cake. And if I have a motion to adjourn, we can eat that cake. Who wants to adjourn?
I do.
Make a motion.
Adjourn.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.